Fit-for-purpose RWD narratives for FDA and EMA, clear, compliant, RWE. Welcome. Today we'll show how a strong narrative turns real-world data into persuasive real-world evidence. Regulators don't approve tables. They approve the story that connects your question to your data and your decision. A clear storyline links the clinical question, the data you used, and the regulatory action you're asking for. When readers can follow your reasoning step by step, they can audit it. That clarity and traceability build trust. Reviewers see what you did, why you did it, and how results support the decision. Let's craft RWE narratives that read cleanly and stand up to scrutiny. Both FDA and EMA expect transparency and reproducibility, but they emphasize slightly different angles and use different terms. FDA discussions often center on fitness for use, data reliability, and bias control. EMA may stress relevance, representativeness, and validation in the European context. Use the audience's preferred terminology so nothing feels foreign. Most importantly, cite the right guidances and frameworks for each. Align with the specific RWE, pharmacoepidemiology, and methodology documents they recognize. When your language and citations match their expectations, your methods feel familiar, and your conclusions land. Open with a crisp statement of intent using a structured frame: population, intervention or exposure, comparator, and outcome, plus time frame and setting. For example, among adults with severe asthma in routine care, does drug X versus drug Y reduce exacerbations over 12 months? Explain why RWD/RWE is fit for purpose here. Availability of timely treatment data, adequate sample size, and real practice generalizability. Then, tie your endpoints to the decision. If you seek label expansion for exacerbation reduction, show that your endpoint is clinically meaningful, consistently defined, and mapped to how the regulator will judge benefit risk. Walk reviewers through data lineage so they can retrace every step. Start with source provenance: EHRs, claims, registries. Who captures the data? How? And for what purpose? Describe capture methods and known quirks, e.g., billing versus clinical intent. Detail cohort construction, inclusion/exclusion criteria, index dates, look-back periods, and attrition. Explain data linkage across sources, match logic, and error rates. Then note refresh cycles and version controls so analyses are reproducible. A neat lineage shows where each variable came from and why it's reliable for the regulatory question you're answering. Move from concepts to measurable variables. Provide code lists and algorithms for exposures, outcomes, and covariates, plus any validation evidence or performance metrics. Lay out your missing data plan, indicators, imputation approach, and how you assessed potential bias. Specify outcome ascertainment windows and the event logic, grace periods, recurrence rules, composite outcome composition, and censoring. Show how raw fields become robust measures ready for analysis. When operational definitions are explicit and justified, reviewers can replicate your work and judge whether your variables truly represent the clinical constructs at stake. State your design choice and why it answers the question, e.g., target trial emulation to mirror eligibility, treatment assignment, follow-up, and analysis plans of a hypothetical RCT. Describe confounding control, propensity scores, matching, weighting, or stratification, plus covariate balance diagnostics. Add sensitivity checks, alternate exposure definitions, negative/positive controls, different washouts, competing risk models. Make assumptions explicit, exchangeability, positivity, correct model specification, and show how you tested them. Then, Acknowledge limitations and their impact on decision-making. Owning assumptions builds credibility more than hiding them. Lead with primary analyses tightly aligned to the question. Then, add supportive analyses that probe robustness. Report effect estimates with uncertainty, confidence intervals, absolute risk differences, number needed to treat, and time to event curves where relevant. Situate results with clinical context, baseline risk, subgroups, and practical implications. Offer a balanced benefit-risk read, highlight consistent signals, note residual uncertainty, and avoid overclaims. End each results section with a one-sentence decision takeaway, such as, evidence suggests a clinically meaningful reduction in exacerbations with acceptable uncertainty for the proposed use. Support the narrative with modular appendices, protocol, code lists, data flow diagrams, SAP, and validation reports. Write in plain, neutral language with active voice so reviewers can scan quickly. We defined, we validated, we adjusted. Ensure traceable claims. Every assertion cites data, a figure, or a method. Use consistent identifiers for datasets, variable versions, and code releases. Close with a short reproducibility note describing how another analyst could replicate the study using the documented resources. Clear documentation and steady tone turn a good analysis into credible evidence that withstands regulatory review.